Specialist Maya Rodriguez sits alone at her forward operating post, rifle across her lap, methodically scanning the mountainous terrain through her scope. The afternoon sun casts long shadows across the valley where her unit is conducting a high-priority extraction mission. She adjusts her position slightly, the hard ground beneath her providing little comfort after 6 hours of unmoving vigilance. The radio at her hip crackles to life, breaking the heavy silence. "Sierra team, radio check," comes Captain Harrison's voice through her comms. "Sierra actual, this is Rodriguez." "Perimeter secure?" she responds, professional and crisp. "Copy that. Maintain position. Main team is proceeding to target." Maya takes a sip of lukewarm water from her canteen, her eyes never leaving the landscape before her. The terrain is treacherous, all jagged ridges and narrow passages. Perfect for ambushes. Perfect for someone who knows what to look for. She remembers the mission briefing 12 hours earlier. The team had gathered in the command tent, the air thick with anticipation. Captain Harrison, a decorated veteran with 15 years of combat experience, had stood before the tactical map, pointing out approach vectors and contingencies with confident precision. "Davis, Thompson, Williams, you're with me on primary. Infiltration," he had said, nodding to each man in turn. Jackson leads security. Martinez handles comms. He had assigned each role to his hand-picked team members, all experienced operators with multiple deployments. Finally, his gaze had landed on Maya, the only woman in the unit. His expression had shifted almost imperceptibly. "Rodriguez, you'll guard the perimeter at this ridge overlooking the valley. Keep your eyes open." Maya had straightened her back. "Sir, with respect, I'd like to volunteer for the infiltration team. My marksmanship scores are the highest in the unit." Harrison had barely looked at her, already turning back to the map. "Someone needs to guard the perimeter, specialist. That'll be you." The memory fades as Maya continues her scan of the terrain, systematic and thorough. The radio occasionally buzzes with updates from the main team. They've reached the village. They've made contact with the local informant. They've located the high-value intelligence asset they were sent to extract. "Package secured," Martinez's voice reports. "Proceeding to extraction point. ETA 40 minutes. "Copy that," Maya responds, making a note of the time. The casual banter begins as the team starts their return journey, relief evident in their tones. "Drinks on me when we get back, boys," Thompson jokes. "I'm holding you to that," Davis replies. "None of that cheap stuff either." Maya doesn't join in. She isn't part of that circle, has never been invited into those moments of camaraderie. Instead, she maintains her watch, scanning the ridgelines and valleys with practiced precision. She pulls out a worn photograph from her breast pocket, allowing herself a moment's distraction. Her grandfather stares back at her from the faded image, resplendent in his Vietnam-era uniform, Medal of Honor visible on his chest. Master Sergeant William Martinez had been a legend in Special Forces, a marksman without equal. He had taught Maya to shoot when she was just 9 years old, had instilled in her the patience and discipline that made her exceptional. "See what others miss," he had told her. "That's what separates a good soldier from a great one." Next to the photograph, she keeps her range qualification scores, folded neatly in a waterproof sleeve. 6 consecutive perfect scores, each one signed off by a reluctant rangemaster. Consistently perfect and consistently overlooked. Maya tucks the items away and returns to her scan. The afternoon is wearing on, the shadows lengthening across the valley floor. The extraction team should be approaching the southern ridge soon, the narrowest part of their return journey. Through her scope, Maya notices something subtle that gives her pause. A small displacement of stones on that same ridge, recent enough that the disturbed dust hasn't settled. Most would dismiss it as nothing, perhaps an animal passing through. Maya zooms in, adjusting her scope for better clarity. She notices unusual bird movement, a flock of small mountain sparrows flying away from an unseen disturbance. Birds don't flee from nothing. She adjusts her scope slightly, panning across the ridge methodically. Then she sees it, the briefest glint of metal in the afternoon sun, quickly concealed. Someone is waiting in the rocks. Maya's training kicks in. She checks her watch. The team is due to pass through that narrow corridor in less than 15 minutes. Sierra Actual, this is Rodriguez. Possible movement on the south ridge. Over, she reports, keeping her voice calm and measured. After a moment of silence, Harrison responds, irritation evident in his tone. Rodriguez, maintain radio silence unless it's an emergency. We've swept the area already. Sir, I'm seeing multiple indicators of possible hostiles on your approach. Route. Recommend immediate route change. Over. Just do your job and watch the perimeter, Rodriguez. Harrison cuts her off. We're 5 minutes from that ridge with the package. Maya hesitates, watching as more evidence of the ambush materializes. Through her scope, a shadow moving where there should be none. Another glint of metal, quickly concealed. The deliberate rearrangement of rocks to create firing positions. She begins counting them, tracking each subtle indication of a hidden presence. 1, 2, 3. She identifies at least 8 concealed positions along the team's return route. This isn't a random encounter. This is a coordinated ambush, likely targeting the intelligence asset. Maya attempts to radio again, urgency now evident in her voice. Sierra Actual, please verify. I count 8 possible hostiles in ambush positions. Along your route, please acknowledge. The radio crackles with static. She tries again on different channels. Nothing but dead air. The comms have been jammed, a clear indication that whatever is happening is sophisticated and planned. Maya checks her watch again. The team will reach the ambush point in minutes. She makes her decision quickly, gathering her essential gear. She marks her position clearly with her tactical pack and secondary equipment, a clear sign to any friendly forces that might pass by that she's relocated temporarily. She secures her rifle across her back and silently moves away from her post, disappearing into the rugged terrain like a shadow. Her movements are swift but deliberate, each step carefully placed to avoid dislodging stones or creating noise as she navigates the difficult path toward the ridge. Memories flash through her mind, the countless hours spent on the firing range while others rested, the tactical manuals she studied by flashlight when others slept, outperforming her peers. In marksmanship competitions, in land navigation exercises, in tactical scenarios. Yet consistently being assigned to support roles, perimeter security, base operations. You're valuable where you are, Rodriguez, her previous commander had told her. Not everyone needs to be at the tip of the spear, but Maya had joined to make a difference, to honor her grandfather's legacy. She hadn't spent years honing her skills to be left behind. Maya moves quickly across the uneven terrain, using natural features for cover. The ridge is nearly a kilometer away, with difficult terrain between her position and the ambush site. She pushes herself, knowing that every second counts. The first distant crack of gunfire reaches her ears, followed immediately by the distinctive chatter of multiple automatic weapons. The ambush has begun. Maya picks up her pace, staying low as she approaches the final stretch before the ridge. The gunfire intensifies, echoing across the valley. Through breaks in the terrain, she catches glimpses of the situation unfolding ahead. The extraction team is pinned down in the narrow pass, caught in a deadly crossfire. From her elevated angle, Maya can see what they cannot. Captain Harrison is crouched behind a boulder, clutching his shoulder, dark blood seeping between his fingers. The intelligence asset, A middle-aged man in civilian clothes is huddled behind the same cover, terror evident even at this distance. Thompson and Davis are returning fire from separate positions, but they're clearly outgunned and outmaneuvered. Martinez is frantically working on the radio, likely trying to call for emergency extraction or air support. Jackson lies motionless near the edge of the pass, his condition impossible to determine from this distance. Maya assesses the situation with cold clarity. The ambush team has positioned themselves with tactical expertise, covering all potential escape routes. They're well-armed and well-disciplined, their fire patterns designed to gradually close the net around the extraction team. She counts the ambushers through her scope, 10 of them, more than her initial estimate. They're wearing nondescript clothing, but their movements betray professional military training. This isn't a random group of insurgents. These are experienced fighters, likely specifically targeting the intelligence asset. Maya finds a position with clear sight lines across the ambush zone, a natural depression in the rocky terrain that offers both cover and an elevated firing platform. She unslings her rifle, a modified M24 sniper weapon system that she's personalized over years of use. The weight of it in her hands is reassuring, familiar. She settles into the shooting stance. Her grandfather taught her, controlling her breathing as she acquires her first target. The ambusher is positioned on a rocky outcrop, confidently firing down at the trapped team, unaware of the new threat about to enter the equation. Maya exhales slowly, her finger taking up the trigger slack with practiced precision. The world narrows to the space between heartbeats. She squeezes the trigger. The crack of her rifle is sharp and decisive in the mountain air. Through her scope, she watches the ambusher crumple silently, his weapon clattering against the rocks. Before the others can process what's happened, Maya has already shifted position, crawling laterally along her cover position to prevent counter-sniper fire. She acquires her second target, another ambusher, who's beginning to look around in confusion as his comrade fails to continue firing. The second shot is as clean as the first, the sound of her rifle momentarily lost in the chaos of the ongoing firefight below. Captain Harrison looks up in confusion as the incoming fire from 2 positions suddenly ceases. He uses the moment to shout orders to his team, organizing them into a better defensive formation. Where's that coming from? She can hear Martinez shout over the gunfire. "I don't know, but use it," Harrison orders. "Thompson, left flank. Davis, cover the asset." Maya continues her methodical elimination of the ambush team. Each shot placed with precision born of thousands of hours of practice. Between firing positions, she moves like a ghost, applying techniques from the advanced tactical manuals she studied while others dismissed her interest as excessive. The ambushers begin to realize they're being hunted from an unknown position. Their fire becomes erratic, divided between the extraction team and futile attempts to locate the invisible threat, picking them off one by one. One of the ambushers, more aware than his comrades, spots a subtle movement on the ridge where Maya has repositioned. He signals to another fighter and breaks away from the main group, moving to investigate while his companion provides covering. Fire. Maya, focused on eliminating a particularly well-positioned enemy who has her teammates pinned down, doesn't notice the approaching threat until he's dangerously close. She secures her rifle across her back and draws her combat knife just as the fighter rounds the boulder concealing her position. He's larger than her, heavily muscled and carrying an assault rifle. Surprise registers on his face at finding a lone female soldier, but training overcomes his momentary hesitation. He swings his rifle toward her. Maya doesn't give him time to fire. She lunges forward, inside the effective arc of his weapon, driving her shoulder into his midsection while simultaneously redirecting his rifle with her left hand. The movement, practiced countless times in close quarters combat training, disrupts his balance and aim. The fighter recovers quickly, dropping his now useless rifle and drawing a blade of his own. He slashes at Maya with practiced efficiency, forcing her to backstep against the rocky terrain. "American," he hisses in accented English, circling her with predatory focus. Maya remains silent, conserving her energy, analyzing his movement patterns. She can tell from his stance and grip that he's had formal training, probably military or specialized police. This won't be an easy fight. He lunges again, blade flashing in the late afternoon sun. Maya parries the strike, redirecting his momentum rather than meeting it directly. Her grandfather's voice echoes in her memory. Use their strength against them. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. The fighter presses his attack, growing frustrated as Maya continues to evade his strikes without directly engaging. He overextends on a powerful thrust, and Maya seizes the opportunity, stepping inside his guard and driving her knife upward with precise force. The man's eyes widen in shock as the blade finds its mark. He tries to speak but can only manage a wet gurgle before collapsing to the ground. Maya retrieves her knife, wiping it clean on her sleeve. The entire encounter has lasted less than 30 seconds, but precious time has been lost. She quickly returns to her rifle, knowing that the second fighter who broke off will soon realize his companion isn't returning. She locates him through her scope, now moving cautiously toward her position. Maya steadies her breathing, lines up the shot, and squeezes the trigger. The fighter drops without a sound. The tide of battle has shifted noticeably during Maya's brief distraction. The extraction team, benefiting from the reduced enemy fire, has managed to consolidate their position. Thompson has maneuvered to higher ground and is providing covering fire while Davis attends to Jackson, who appears wounded but alive. Captain Harrison has organized a defensive perimeter around the intelligence asset, who remains huddled behind cover. Martinez has apparently managed to partially restore communications, as Maya can hear the distant sound of helicopter rotors approaching. Maya returns to her methodical elimination of the remaining ambushers. With their advantage of surprise lost and their numbers dwindling, the attackers' confidence begins to waver. Two break from their positions, attempting to retreat into the hills. Maya tracks the first through her scope, leading him slightly to account for his running pace. The shot catches him mid-stride, and he tumbles forward onto the rocky ground. The second freezes momentarily at the sight of his companion falling, providing Maya with an easy static target. "Who the hell is shooting?" Harrison demands over the now functioning radio. "Martinez, do we have friendly snipers in the area?" "Negative, sir," Martinez responds, confusion evident in his voice. No other friendly units reported in the sector. As the last of the ambushers falls, an eerie silence descends over the mountain pass. The extraction team remains in defensive positions, wary of additional threats. Maya observes them through her scope, assessing injuries. Jackson is conscious. Now, his leg bandaged. Harrison's shoulder wound continues to bleed, but he remains focused and alert. The intelligence asset appears unharmed, though visibly shaken. The sound of the approaching helicopter grows louder. Maya recognizes the distinctive sound of a UH-60 Blackhawk, likely the emergency medical evacuation Harrison had called for. With the immediate threat eliminated and extraction imminent, Maya knows her job is complete. She begins to withdraw from her position, collecting her spent shell casings meticulously, leaving no trace of her presence. The sun is low on the horizon now, casting long shadows across the valley as Maya makes her way back to her assigned post. She moves swiftly but carefully, retracing her route with precision. She reaches her original position with time to spare, before the extraction team will complete their journey back to the rendezvous point. Maya repositions her equipment exactly as it was, creating the impression she never left her post. Settling back into her observation stance, rifle across her lap, she continues to scan the surrounding terrain. The adrenaline of combat has faded, leaving her with the familiar calm focus that has defined her military career. The radio crackles to life. Rodriguez, this is Sierra Actual. Extraction team is proceeding to rendezvous point. ETA 10 minutes. Prepare for immediate evacuation. Copy that, Sierra Actual. Maya responds, her voice betraying nothing of what has transpired. Perimeter remains secure. She can hear the Black Hawk landing in the distance, the distinctive hoomp of its rotors echoing across the valley. Medical. Personnel will be attending to the wounded, preparing them for transport back to base. Maya uses the time to clean her rifle thoroughly, wiping away any evidence of recent firing. She checks her ammunition count, mentally accounting for each round expended during the engagement. The sun has nearly set when she hears the approaching footsteps of the extraction team. Maya remains in position, her posture relaxed but vigilant, as though she's been sitting in the same spot for the entire duration of the mission. Captain Harrison leads the battered team into view, his wounded shoulder bandaged with field dressings. His expression is a mixture of exhaustion and weariness. Thompson and Davis follow, supporting Jackson between them. Martinez walks alongside. The intelligence asset, a silver-haired man in civilian clothes who appears to be in his 60s. Harrison approaches Maya's position slowly, his eyes scanning the area around her, taking in the undisturbed dust, the methodical arrangement of her equipment, and most notably, the small pile of spent shell casings near her position. Maya stands at approach, offering a crisp salute despite the informality of field operations. Captain, she acknowledges, her expression neutral. Harrison doesn't return the salute. Instead, his gaze moves from Maya to the shell casings, then back to the ridge where his team had been ambushed, calculating distances and angles with experienced precision. You abandoned your post, he says finally, not as an accusation but in realization. No, sir, Maya responds calmly, meeting his gaze without hesitation. I defended the perimeter. The threat was approaching from the ridge. A profound silence falls over the team as they process what has happened. The intelligence asset steps forward, studying Maya with newfound interest. Remarkable shooting, he says, his voice carrying the refined accent of an educated Easterner. That was at least 800 meters in variable wind conditions. 837 meters at the furthest target, sir, Maya corrects politely. The asset raises his eyebrows, impressed. And how many hostiles did you engage? 10, sir. All neutralized. Thompson whistles softly, exchanging glances. With Davis, even Martinez, usually dismissive of Maya's contributions, looks at her with new respect. The asset turns to Harrison. Captain, do you know who this soldier is? Harrison shifts uncomfortably, his wounded shoulder clearly paining him. Specialist Maya Rodriguez, sir. She's been with the unit for 14 months. Rodriguez, the asset repeats thoughtfully. Any relation to Master Sergeant William Martinez, 5th Special Forces? Maya's expression softens slightly at the mention of her grandfather. My grandfather, sir. The asset nods, a small smile forming on his weathered face. I served with him in '82. Law's operation. He saved my unit much the way you just saved this one. He turns to Harrison. Your sniper was one of the finest soldiers I ever encountered, Captain. It appears the talent runs in the family. Harrison glances at Maya, a complex mixture of emotions crossing his face, professional respect warring with embarrassment at his earlier dismissal of her abilities. We need to move, Martinez interrupts, checking his watch. The Black Hawk is waiting, and we have wounded. Harrison nods, returning to his role as commander. Rodriguez, pack up. You're coming with us. Yes, sir, Maya responds, efficiently gathering her equipment. As the team moves toward the extraction point, the intelligence asset falls into step beside Maya. Your grandfather would be proud, he says quietly. He always said the best soldiers were the ones no one noticed until it was too late. Maya allows herself a small smile. He taught me everything I know, sir. Not everything, the asset corrects. That level of skill comes from something innate, something that can't be taught. He studies her for a moment. Have you considered applying for Special Forces assessment? Women aren't eligible for Special Forces, sir, Maya responds, the familiar frustration evident in her tone, despite her attempt at professional detachment. Rules change, Specialist Rodriguez, the asset replies, especially when exceptions like you demonstrate their necessity. He hands her a small card with a phone number embossed in silver. When you return to base, call this number. Ask for Colonel Patterson. Tell him Marcus sent you. Maya takes the card, studying it briefly before tucking it securely into her pocket. Thank you, sir. They reach the Black Hawk, its rotors turning lazily as the pilot conserves fuel. The medical team has already loaded Jackson and is preparing a space for Harrison. As the team boards, Maya notices Thompson watching her with a thoughtful expression. 837 meters, he says, shaking his head in disbelief. In these conditions, that's impossible. Maya secures her rifle and takes her seat. Not impossible. Just difficult. Where did you learn to shoot like that? Thompson asks. My grandfather started teaching me when I was 9, Maya replies. Said I had a natural eye. Thompson nods slowly. He was right. He extends his hand. I owe you a drink when we get back. A good one. Maya accepts the handshake, the simple gesture representing a shift in how she's perceived by the team. I'll hold you to that. The Black Hawk lifts off, banking steeply to clear the mountain ridge. From her window, Maya watches the battlefield recede into the gathering darkness, the evidence of her precision work disappearing from view. Captain Harrison, seated across from her, catches her eye. No words are exchanged, but his nod carries clear meaning. Respect, once earned, can never be taken away. As the helicopter speeds toward their forward operating base, Maya allows herself a moment of satisfaction. Not for the kills, never for the taking of life, but for finally being seen for what she truly is. A soldier, a protector, a guardian who stands between her team and harm. Her grandfather's words echo in her mind as the mountain range disappears beneath them. It's not about being seen, Maya. It's about seeing what others miss. 6 months later, at a different forward operating base in a different mountain range, Maya stands before a tactical map, briefing a diverse team of operators. The patches on their shoulders indicate elite status members of a specialized task force assembled for high-risk operations. Captain Harrison, now her colleague rather than superior, stands at the back of the room, nodding as she outlines the mission parameters with confident precision. Satellite imagery shows the compound is guarded by approximately 15 to 20 hostiles, Maya explains, indicating key positions on the map. Our primary objective is to secure the hostages and extract them safely. Secondary objective is intelligence gathering from the site. She assigns roles with quiet authority, each team member accepting their responsibilities without question. Davis, you'll lead the eastern approach. Thompson, western coverage. Jackson, surveillance support. A new female recruit, Private Anderson, waits for her assignment. She's young but carries herself with the same watchful intensity Maya recognizes from her own reflection. An older officer, recently assigned to the unit, interjects. Anderson can guard the perimeter while the main team operates. Maya looks up from the map, her gaze steady. Actually, I'd like her on the infiltration team. I've seen her range scores. The officer begins to object but falls silent at Harrison's warning. Glance. The lesson has been learned. Talent isn't defined by gender or appearance, but by ability and dedication. As the teams prepare to deploy, Checking weapons and gear with practiced efficiency, Anderson approaches Maya. Specialist Rodriguez. She begins, her voice low to avoid being overheard. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity. Maya continues her equipment check, her movements precise and methodical. No need for thanks. You earned your place. Still, Anderson persists. Not many would have spoken up. How did you handle being underestimated for so long? Maya pauses, considering the question carefully. She thinks of her grandfather, of the lessons he taught her about patience and persistence. She thinks of the ridge 6 months ago, where she'd finally demonstrated what she was capable of. It's not about being seen, she says finally, looking up to meet the younger soldier's eyes. It's about seeing what others miss. Anderson nods, understanding the deeper meaning behind the simple words. As the team moves out into the gathering dusk, Maya takes point, rifle held at the ready. Her gaze sweeps the terrain ahead, missing nothing, seeing patterns and possibilities invisible to less trained observers. Behind her, a new generation follows, learning the same lessons, carrying the same burden of excellence. Not invisible anymore, but seeing everything. The mission briefing concludes, and the team disperses to make final preparations. Maya reviews the satellite imagery one last time, committing key terrain features to memory. The operation is high-risk. Hostage extraction from a heavily guarded compound in contested territory. Intelligence suggests the hostages are American aid workers captured 3 weeks earlier. Rodriguez. Captain Harrison approaches, his voice low. Got a minute? Maya nods, following him to a quieter corner of the operations tent. 6 months have changed their dynamic considerably. The grudging respect that began on that mountain ridge has evolved into a professional partnership built on mutual trust. Command just forwarded updated intel, Harrison says, handing her a tablet with encrypted files. Facial recognition confirmed Abbas is on site. Maya scrolls through the intelligence report, her expression unchanging despite the significance of the information. Fared Abbas is a high-value target, responsible for coordinating multiple attacks against coalition forces. His presence at the compound changes the operational calculus significantly. Secondary objective just became more important, she observes. Harrison nods. If we can capture Abbas, it would be a major intelligence coup. But the hostages remain. Priority 1. Understood. Maya hands back the tablet. Any change to the operational plan? That's your call, team lead. Harrison uses her formal title deliberately, reinforcing her authority over the mission. Maya considers for a moment. We maintain the original approach. Abbas's presence increases risk, but altering the plan now creates more variables. I'll brief the team about the HVT, but emphasize that hostage extraction remains primary. Good call, Harrison agrees. I've requested additional air support on standby, just in case. The unspoken understanding passes between them, just in case things go wrong, just in case they need emergency extraction. The memory of their last mission together hangs in the air, a reminder of how quickly situations can deteriorate. We'll be fine, Maya says with quiet confidence. This team is solid. Harrison gives her a rare smile. Because you made it solid. Rodriguez, now go brief them about Abbas. The team takes the news professionally, adjusting mental preparations without overreacting. Maya watches them carefully, noting each person's response. Thompson tightens the strap on his tactical vest a notch. Davis checks his weapon again, though it's already perfectly maintained. Jackson runs through breathing exercises, centering himself. Anderson, the newest member, shows no outward reaction beyond a slight narrowing of her eyes. Good. They're ready. The insertion goes exactly as planned. 2 Black Hawks dropped the team 3 kilometers from the target compound under cover of darkness. They move silently through the rugged terrain, maintaining communications discipline, approaching from multiple vectors to establish a 360-degree containment of the objective. Maya takes Thompson and Anderson on the eastern approach, using natural terrain features for concealment. Through her night vision goggles, the compound appears as a cluster of glowing structures against the dark backdrop of the mountains. She counts guards, noting positions and patrol patterns, comparing the real-time observations against the intelligence briefing. Sierra 1, in position. Davis's voice whispers through the comm. Sierra 2, ready. Jackson confirms from his sniper perch overlooking the compound. Sierra 3, in position, Maya responds, signaling Thompson and Anderson to hold. Confirm. Visual on 4 guards at the north entrance, 2 on the eastern perimeter, 3 on the roof. Confirmed. Jackson replies. I have clear shots on the rooftop sentries. 2 additional guards identified at the southern entrance. Maya processes this information against their operational plan. All teams hold position. Sierra 2, eliminate rooftop sentries on my mark. Sierra 1, prepare for breach at the north. Entrance 30 seconds after shots fired. Sierra 3 will secure the eastern perimeter and approach the main building from the rear. The team acknowledges their orders. Maya takes a moment to steady her breathing, entering the calm mental state that has served her so well in combat. Time seems to slow as her senses heighten, attuning to every detail of the environment around her. Sierra 2, execute, she commands. 3 nearly simultaneous shots from Jackson's suppressed rifle, and the rooftop sentries drop silently. The compound remains quiet, the eliminations unnoticed by the remaining guards. Rooftop clear, Jackson confirms. Sierra 1, go, Maya orders. Davis and his team move swiftly toward the north entrance, neutralizing the guards with suppressed weapons before they can raise an alarm. North entrance secure. Proceeding inside. Maya signals Thompson and Anderson, and Sierra 3 team advances. On the eastern perimeter. The 2 guards there are dispatched efficiently, their bodies hidden to avoid detection. Eastern perimeter secure, Maya reports, moving to secondary entrance. The operation proceeds with textbook precision. Maya leads her team through the rear entrance of the main building, moving room by room through the darkened structure. Night vision gives them a crucial advantage over the compound's occupants, most of whom are sleeping. Sierra 1 here, Davis's voice comes through the comm. We've located the hostages. East wing, 2nd floor. 4 civilians appear unharmed. 2 guards neutralized. Secure the hostages and prepare for extraction, Maya responds. Sierra 3 proceeding to command. Center. Intelligence had indicated the compound's command center was located in the west wing. If a boss was on site, he would likely be there or in the nearby quarters. Maya leads Thompson and Anderson through a connecting hallway, encountering 2 guards, who are quickly subdued. As they approach the command center, Maya holds up a closed fist, signaling her team to halt. She can hear voices inside the room, speaking urgently in a dialect she recognizes from intelligence briefings. 2, possibly 3 individuals inside, she whispers to Thompson. Breach and clear on my signal. Thompson nods, moving into position beside the door with a flashbang grenade ready. Anderson takes up a covering position, her rifle trained on the hallway behind them. Maya counts down silently with her fingers. 3, 2, 1. Thompson throws open the door and tosses in the flashbang. The disorienting explosion of light and sound is followed immediately by Maya and Thompson entering the room, weapons raised. 3 men are inside, temporarily blinded and disoriented by the flashbang. 2 are clearly guards, reaching blindly. For weapons they cannot see. The 3rd man, older and dressed differently, is Farid Abbas. Target secured, Maya reports as the men are quickly subdued and flex-cuffed. HVT confirmed. Proceeding to extraction point with package. Copy that. Harrison responds from the command center back at base. Black Hawks inbound. ETA 7 minutes. As Maya's team secures a boss and collects laptops and documents from the command center, Davis reports that his team has the hostages safely in hand and is moving toward the extraction point. The operation is proceeding perfectly. Almost. Too perfectly. Maya's instincts, honed through years of combat experience, begin to signal caution. Something feels wrong. All teams maintain vigilance. She warns. Be alert for counterattack or reinforcements. As if summoned by her words, the distant sound of approaching vehicles reaches her ears. She moves to a window, peering carefully. Through the blinds, 3 pickup trucks are racing toward the compound, armed men visible in their beds. Incoming hostiles, she reports. 3 technical vehicles approaching from the south. Estimate 12 to 15 fighters. All teams, expedite to extraction point. Now. The carefully controlled operation suddenly accelerates into a race against time. Davis's team moves the hostages toward the northern extraction point while Maya's team, encumbered by their high-value prisoner and gathered intelligence, heads for the east side of the compound. Sierra 2, cover our withdrawal, Maya orders Jackson, who remains in his elevated position overlooking the compound. Copy that, Jackson responds. I see the vehicles. Taking shots on drivers. The crack of Jackson's rifle echoes through the night as Maya leads her team out of the building. A boss stumbles, either deliberately slowing them down or genuinely struggling with the pace. Thompson roughly guides him forward. Keep moving, he growls at the prisoner, or I'll carry you over my shoulder. The first technical vehicle explodes. As Jackson's shot hits something volatile in the engine block, the second vehicle swerves to avoid the wreckage, buying the extraction team precious seconds. Sierra 1 at extraction point with hostages, Davis reports. Awaiting pickup. Sierra 3 moving to secondary extraction point, Maya responds. Sierra 2, once Sierra 1 is clear, reposition to cover our extraction. The sound of gunfire erupts from the south as the remaining technical vehicles disgorge their fighters, who begin a disorganized but aggressive assault on the compound. Jackson's precision fire keeps them suppressed, preventing an organized pursuit. Maya hears the distinctive sound of the approaching Black Hawks. Extract Sierra 1 immediately, she orders. We'll hold its secondary position for second bird. The first helicopter descends toward Davis's position. The hostages quickly loaded aboard. Maya's team reaches the secondary extraction point, clearing on the eastern edge of the compound with enough space for a helicopter to land. Sierra 1 clear, Davis confirms as his helicopter lifts off. All hostages secure. Copy that. Maya acknowledges. Sierra 2, fall back to secondary extraction point. Now moving, Jackson confirms. The enemy fighters, realizing their quarry is escaping, intensify their assault. Bullets strike the rocks near Maya's position as she, Thompson, and Anderson establish a defensive perimeter on the boss and the gathered intelligence. Second Black Hawk, 2 minutes out, Harrison informs them. Hold position. Anderson returns fire methodically, each shot precisely placed despite the pressure of the moment. Maya notes the young soldier's composure with approval. Thompson guards Abbas, who watches the unfolding chaos with calculating eyes. Your man will die for nothing, Abbas says in accented English. More fighters are coming. Keep him quiet, Maya orders Thompson, who nods and adjusts his grip on the prisoner's restraints. Jackson arrives at their position, breathing heavily, from his rapid descent from his sniper perch. 20+ hostiles now, he reports. They're organizing for a coordinated assault. The sound of the second Black Hawk grows louder. Maya can see its lights approaching through the darkness. "Prepare for immediate extraction," she orders. "Thompson, you and Anderson secure the HVT and intelligence materials on the bird first. Jackson and I will cover until you're aboard. Then follow." The helicopter appears overhead, its powerful downdraft whipping up dust and debris as it descends toward the clearing. The pilot skillfully maneuvers to keep the aircraft between the extraction team and the advancing hostiles, using the helicopter's body as additional cover. "Go now," Maya shouts as the helicopter touches down. Thompson and Anderson move quickly, half-dragging Abbas toward the open door where crew members wait to assist. The intelligence materials, secured in waterproof bags, are passed up first, followed by the prisoner. Jackson and Maya maintain suppressive fire, forcing the advancing fighters to seek cover. The disciplined response buys precious seconds for the extraction. HVT and materials secure. Thompson reports over the comm. "Get in now." Maya signals Jackson, who breaks from his position and sprints toward the helicopter. As he reaches the aircraft, Maya prepares to follow. A movement in her peripheral vision catches her attention. A fighter has flanked their position, approaching from an unexpected angle with an RPG launcher raised to his shoulder. In that moment, time seems to slow. Maya sees the trajectory the rocket will take if fired directly into the vulnerable helicopter filled with her teammates. Without hesitation, she swivels and fires 3 rapid shots. The fighter falls, but not before squeezing the trigger. The rocket launches, but Maya's shots have disrupted his aim. Instead of hitting the helicopter, the RPG impacts a rocky outcropping nearby, sending shrapnel in all directions. Maya feels a sharp pain in her leg as she turns and runs for the helicopter. Thompson and Jackson are reaching out from the doorway, urging her on as the pilot prepares for immediate takeoff. With a final surge of effort, Maya leaps aboard, pulled in by her teammates as the helicopter lifts away from the ground. Bullets ping against the aircraft's armored underside as the pilot gains altitude and banks sharply away from the compound. "All personnel secured," Thompson reports. "One wounded?" "How bad?" Harrison asks over the comm. Maya looks down at her leg, where a piece of shrapnel has embedded itself in her thigh. The wound is bleeding but has missed any major arteries. "I'll live," she responds dryly. "Mission accomplished, sir. Hostages secure, HVT captured, intelligence materials recovered." "Well done, Sierra team," Harrison acknowledges, relief evident in his voice. Medical team standing by at base. As the helicopter speeds through the night sky, Maya catches Anderson watching her with a mixture of admiration and concern. "You saw that fighter before anyone else did," the young soldier observes. "How?" Maya applies pressure to her wound, wincing slightly at the pain. "It's about watching the patterns. Movement that doesn't belong stands out if you know what to look for." Anderson nods, processing this insight. "You saved all of us." Maya shakes her head. "That's the job. You'd have done the same." Jackson, securing his rifle beside them, laughs softly. "Don't let her modesty fool you, Anderson. Rodriguez here has made a career of saving people who underestimated her." Thompson, keeping a watchful eye on the boss, adds, "First time I met her, she took out 10 tangos from over 800 meters, while the rest of us were pinned down. Solo." Maya says nothing, uncomfortable with the attention. Abbas, however, studies her with new interest. "The ghost?" He says suddenly, "That was you? The woman sniper from the mountain pass?" Maya meets his gaze steadily, but doesn't respond. Abbas shakes his head slowly. "We lost good men that day. They said it was impossible, that no one could make those shots." A grudging respect enters his voice. "Now I believe the stories." "Save it," Thompson tells the prisoner. "You don't get to admire the person who captured you." The helicopter begins its descent toward the forward operating base. where lights illuminate a landing zone surrounded by medical personnel and security teams. Maya looks out at the organized activity below, reflecting on how much has changed. In 6 months, from being sidelined and overlooked to leading elite operations, from being dismissed to being respected. The journey hasn't been easy, but it has been necessary, not just for her, but for those who would follow. As the helicopter touches down, medical teams approach with a stretcher. Maya waves them off, preferring to walk despite her injury. Abbas is taken into custody by a specialized intelligence team. The gathered materials whisked away for immediate analysis. Harrison meets them on the tarmac, his face showing relief at their safe return. Outstanding work, he tells the team, but his eyes linger on Maya, especially. You, team lead. She accepts the praise with a simple nod. The team performed excellently. Anderson showed exceptional composure under fire. The younger soldier straightens at the unexpected commendation. Harrison notices the interaction and smiles slightly. Get that leg looked at, Rodriguez. Debrief. In 3 hours. As the team disperses, Anderson falls into step beside Maya as she limps toward the medical facility. Thank you for that, she says quietly. For mentioning me to the captain. I only stated facts, Maya responds. You earned it. They walk in silence for a moment before Anderson speaks again. I requested this assignment specifically because of you, you know. There are stories about you throughout the female ranks. The woman who changed the rules by being too good to ignore. Maya looks at her in surprise. I wasn't trying to change anything. Just doing my job. That's why it worked, Anderson says simply. You didn't ask for recognition. You just deserved it more than anyone else. As they reach the medical facility, Maya pauses, considering the younger soldier's words. She thinks of her grandfather, of the legacy he passed to her not just of skill, but of quiet excellence. She thinks of the mountain ridge where everything changed, not because she demanded recognition, but because she did what needed to be done when it needed doing. It's never about being seen, she tells Anderson, repeating the wisdom that has guided her career. It's about seeing what others miss. Anderson nods, understanding the deeper meaning in the simple words. Not just about tactical awareness, but about recognizing opportunities, threats, and moments when action is required, regardless of orders or expectations. I'll remember that, she promises. As Maya enters the medical facility to have her wound treated, she reflects on the cycle that seems to be completing itself. From being mentored to becoming a mentor. From being underestimated to ensuring others aren't dismissed too quickly. The path continues forward, not just for her, but for all those who will follow. Seeing what others miss and changing the battlefield one precise shot at a time. 3 months later, Maya stands in a different briefing room, this time addressing a mixed group of military personnel and civilian analysts. Her new assignment developing training protocols for integrated special operations teams represents another step in her evolving career. The key to effective small unit operations, she explains to the assembled group, isn't just individual skill, but the ability to see patterns others miss. To recognize when the unexpected becomes necessary. In the back of the room, Colonel Patterson, the man whose card she'd received from the intelligence asset months ago, nods approvingly. The call she'd made upon returning from that first mission had led to this moment, this opportunity to shape how the military approaches specialized operations. Questions? Maya asks, wrapping up her presentation. A young lieutenant raises her hand. Ma'am, how do you maintain situational awareness when operating outside standard protocols? Maya considers the question, thinking back to that ridge where she'd made the choice to leave her assigned position. Trust your training, but don't let it blind you to what's actually happening. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is what you weren't ordered to do. She catches sight of Anderson in the audience, now wearing sergeant's stripes and nodding at the familiar wisdom. The cycle continues, each generation learning from the last, each person finding their own way to see what others miss. After the briefing, as the room empties, Colonel Patterson approaches. Excellent presentation, Rodriguez. The feedback from the pilot programs has been overwhelmingly positive. Thank you, sir. The teams are adapting well to the new protocols. Good to hear. I have another assignment for you, if you're interested. We're establishing a new training facility focused on unconventional warfare tactics. We need someone to head the marksmanship and tactical awareness programs. Maya considers the offer another step forward, another opportunity to influence how soldiers are trained and prepared. I'm interested, sir. Excellent. One more thing, we're recommending you for promotion to Master Sergeant. Your record speaks for itself. As Maya leaves the building, she pulls out her grandfather's photograph, now slightly more worn from carrying it through multiple deployments. His face looks back at her, the same quiet confidence she's worked to embody throughout her career. See what others miss, she whispers to the image, the words carrying weight accumulated through years of proving their truth. The setting sun casts long shadows across the base, reminding her of that afternoon on the ridge when everything changed. Not because she sought recognition, but because she saw what needed to be done and did it. Maya puts the photograph away and walks toward her quarters, already planning the curriculum for the new training program. There are more soldiers to train, more lessons to pass on, more opportunities to ensure that talent is recognized regardless of who possesses it. The story continues, but the lesson remains the same. It's not about being seen. It's about seeing what others miss. And sometimes that makes all the difference between success and failure, between life and death, between being overlooked and being exactly where you need to be. In the distance, she can hear the sound of helicopters returning from training exercises, their rotors beating a familiar rhythm against the evening sky. New missions, new challenges, new opportunities to prove that excellence knows no boundaries. Maya Rodriguez smiles slightly and continues walking, carrying her grandfather's legacy forward into whatever comes next. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and become a part of our Everyday Life Stories community. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. We love hearing from our amazing viewers around the world.